Hello, hello. I don't know where to put you to where my camera won't freak out. I have two windows on either side of my TBR shelf, so it might be a little off. But as you guys can tell, we are starting the first book introduction to my TBR shelf. I am super excited. I am so excited. I'm so excited for the book. I'm so excited to get through some of my other books. I am just so freaking excited. I am also a little bit anxious because I'm sitting on the floor, and if you guys saw the vlog that I posted, I'll put it up here for you. There have been spiders. Like, we live in a new build and it's fantastic, but where we live, we're like kind of close to a pond, kind of close to a highway, right across the street from like a park. I'm just like, there's spiders everywhere. And there was a spider there was a dead one on the floor over here, not the one that I killed in last week's vlog, and then another one when I moved the girls like dog toy thing. Another one came scurrying out, and I was unsuccessful in killing that one. So if I start screaming and running away, it's because there's a gigantic spider. But enough of a tangent. We're gonna get started with The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited. So what I've heard about this is this follows our main character Sybil, and she is a diviner, which is basically there's a god, or I'm assuming a god from what I've heard, that provides her and I think 5 other women that work for the crown with visions. And essentially Sybil, from what I've heard, the visions that she's receiving are about the king, and he is a young king, and apparently all of the visions that she's had were bad and they are all coming true. That's pretty much primarily, you know, what I know about it. But a lot or some of the other diviners start disappearing towards the end of because they're kind of like, I don't know if they're like conscripted or what, but there's like a time frame that they are diviners essentially. But Sybil ends up working with a knight named Roderick who works for the king. I don't know kind of how they end up working together, but they do, and I believe it's to figure out, you know, where the other diviners are going, or where the other, diviners. So this, from what I've heard, is a slow burn fantasy gothic romance, and whew, that just has me written all over it. So this book, aside from the beautiful, I hate, you know, I see that people do this on like Instagram. I just want to bash somebody's head in every time they do it. It drives me nuts, and I'm over here like, but this is right up my alley. This is, I know I'm supposed to be reading the summery, fun, romancy kind of stuff. I don't want to read that right now. This is what I want to read. I want to read a heavy, slow burn, dark gothic fantasy romance novel. I said what I said. This is what I want to read. So we're going to be reading this. Hopefully, if you guys have read it, you'll enjoy this kind of reading vlog. This will be spoilery, so just be aware these reading vlogs that I'm going to be doing will be spoilery for the books that I am reading. But I want to get back into doing actual reading vlogs. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you don't want spoilers, follow me on Instagram. Once I finish each book, I'll be posting like a spoiler-free review of what I thought, things that I enjoyed, things that I didn't enjoy. I just know that there's some sort of being in this novel. I don't know what he is. I think he might be a gargoyle, which I love. I'm a child of the 90s, and Gargoyles is one of my favorite shows, so probably gonna really love that too. But let's go ahead and get started reading it, because I've got my matcha, I got blankets straight out of the dryer, I'm ready to curl up. Rocco's back home with his dad for the day, so I can read uninterrupted. Not that he interrupts me too much, but let's get started reading this. Hopefully we love it. I've barely gotten into it, but I have a couple of things. Can we talk? Like, I don't know what it is about the pages or how this is printed, but it just seems very crisp and beautiful. And I know it's probably not different than any other book, but also I just noticed on the back, tell me why I did not see this. So we have Hannah Witten, who wrote one of my favorite series so far this year, The Foxglove King and The Nightshade Queen. And then we have Ava Reed, who did A Study in Drowning, which I also read this year and absolutely loved. But then we have the Piece de Resistance. We have Alex Harrow, one of my most favorite authors of all time, also did a review on the book. And like, I'm sorry, it's a fairy tale with bruised knuckles. Excuse me? Look, I've always said, I would read literally everything that Alex puts out, like grocery lists, anything, her receipts from she didn't even need to write it, and I'm gonna love it. And I think that's what this is gonna be. If Alex can endorse it, that's gonna be for me. Also, I tried to pick a bookmark that kind of matches it, and I think I did a pretty, like, there's just something about it. Like, it always puts me in the reading mood to have my little matchy bookmark. But I did set a timer, which I'm currently wasting, to see how much I can read in the next hour. So I will update you guys in a little bit. All right, I'm on page 48. Yeah, it's definitely a hate to love slow burn, and I hate Rory. I don't think I'm supposed to hate him, or maybe I'm supposed to hate him. I don't fucking know. But he is the most frustrating disrespect. There's one part here where one of the gargoyles that are in the church, or in Aisling, who comes over to comfort Sybil, because it looks like she's kind of getting into a fight with Rory, and he says, "I'm not going to hurt anyone, you witless hunk of stone." And then he says, "Sorry, diviner, that was aimed at the gargoyle. I can see how you might be tempted to answer to that description." And I don't know man's backstory at all, but like, why the gargoyle? Like, why be such a dick to the gargoyles? Like, I can understand maybe he's got something wrong with Sybil and like what Sybil does, you know, we'll find out that in the story. I'm just so confused, like, why the disrespect to the like, these are actual, maybe they're commonplace, I don't know, like, in this world, it really bugs me how he talks to other people. But I do like his relationship with the king, and Maud so far. Like, obviously they're a very tight-knit group. It's mentioned a couple of times in the story. I do like that, and I do like the banter between Rory and Sybil. I just don't necessarily enjoy him. Like, I'm interested to see how we grow to like him, but we're at the part now where Sybil and the other 5 diviners are getting ready to sneak out, and I just have a sinking suspicion that this is gonna go bad, but I am interested to see where it goes. Y'all, I'm 114 pages in, and I'm already in love. I know people are gonna say, okay. First of all, the fucking gargoyle. Like, can we talk about Bartholomew? Who is his name, Bartholomew? Or does he just call everybody else Bartholomew? I'm assuming he does. Like, I don't necessarily know his name, but the fact, this is gonna be spoilery, so if you're not interested in spoilers, don't watch this vlog. But the fact that he is obsessed with Sybil and like literally sobs at the thought of her leaving and like demands to go with her and Rory. So essentially I am at the part right now where they are leaving Aisling Cathedral. So we're at the point where the other diviners have started disappearing after. So they go with the knight and the king, and they go to a nearby town, and, you know, they're dancing and hanging out and, you know, playing games and stuff. And they come back, and Sybil does a reading for Rory because he essentially loses like a game. And in the reading that she does, the Moth shows up. The 6th being, you know, we have, what is it, like the cup, the chisel, we have the coin, you know, we have all of those. And the last one is of like a rose that blooms and looks sort of, at least to Sybil, like a moth. And they're the stained glasses that are above the river that they lay in when they do their scrying. And okay, so she does this, she has this vision, you know, she goes into the vision, and it's nothing like she normally experiences, and she sees the other, like, what the other diviners, the original diviners, the gods, essentially sees them in this vision. And then after that, like the next day, the other diviners one by one over the course of 5 days start disappearing, everyone but Sybil. And on the last day, when you think Sybil is going to be stolen, she is actually rescued by Rory. Rory shows up because Sybil had gone out one night to try to find the other ones, goes to this town, basically demands to speak to the king. There's a gargoyle there. The gargoyle follows her, Bartholomew follows her. And so they send a letter to the king like, hey, this crazy bitch was here trying to find you, and they put it together like, oh, it's Sybil, or 6 as they call her. So he comes and saves her, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? And then they decide to leave. Sybil and Rory decide to leave. Rory's basically like, hey, like, let's go, like, get your shit, you know, whatever. And while this is happening, mind you, Bartholomew decides to go with them, but while this is happening, you see him use a coin, right? Like, to basically like teleport and transfer himself, like, through walls, through doors, through things like that. Is it the coin from the beginning? Like, they literally describe like the coin, the chisel, the loom, like all of these things, and I'm like, hold on. And then in the last part that I read, like the very, very last page that I read, he says, where is it? Your abbess, sorry, is right. Abscess. She's basically an abscess. I love when Bartholomew calls her a bitch, but your abbess is right. There are terrors in Traum, vicious sprites, and they're nothing to the nobles you'll meet. We'll join the knighthood and see what we can learn about your lost diviners. Where he says they're nothing to the nobles you'll meet. I'm wondering if like the gods still exist in this book, and I'm wondering if he has a tie to the one of coins. Like, is he a god? Like, I need to know. I'm gonna continue to read, but I'm on page 114, chapter 10, not very far into the book at all, but I mean a good chunk, I would say. Like, this is how much I've read, but I'm so intrigued, y'all. I'm so intrigued. I wasn't expecting to be as intrigued as I am. I also thought it'd be a bit darker than it is, and it's definitely dark, right? Like, we have like the gloom, we have this, you know, they have to drown themselves to have these visions, but I'm not like, oh my god, you know, it's not like horror-y, but it is dark. It's definitely gothic, but like I said, we have gods, we have these women who are like hidden in shrouds. Oh, and the other thing, oh my god, the other thing. So before 1 goes missing, the last diviner to go missing before 6, before our main character Sybil, she decides to take off her shroud, and Sybil, out of respect, you know, and kind of like just completely unsure about what the fuck's happening, turns away from her. And when she is away from her, she just hears 1 go, oh my god, what have they done to us? And you're like, what have they done to you? Like, tell me. And Sybil doesn't see it because 1 puts the shroud back on, and basically to comfort herself has 6 tell her a story, like 6 always does. 6 always tells them about, you know, all these places that they're gonna go to, and then 1 disappears the next day. So I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then also, right before they run away, the abbess is like, you're never gonna leave. None of them could amount to like what you've amounted to. There's nothing outside of these walls for you. Like, you're made for this. And I'm wondering if like she basically is going to become like some sort of like if the god's gonna inhabit her in some way. Like, I have so many questions. I want to know so much. But I'm gonna continue reading. I probably won't update you guys until tomorrow because Rocco will be home and he's been gone all day, so I'll probably spend some time with him and just read the rest of this tonight. Not the rest of it, but read what I want tonight and then update you guys tomorrow on what I'm thinking of it. So I will see you guys then. Oh, this book, y'all. I knew this book was gonna fuck me up. I don't remember the last thing I updated you guys on. Where we're at now. Sybil, the king, Rory, they go to essentially hunt down the other omens. And sorry, I'm like really fucking emotional, but so they're hunting them down 1 by 1, because you find out that Rory has the coin, and the king and, you know, all of them go to get the inkwell, and then the one that they just went to go get was the oarsman. And you find out like Sybil's life, this is why I'm so emotional, but Sybil's life is basically just one huge lie. And the 6th omen is the abbess, who oversaw like their drownings. And the reason why I'm so emotional is because you find out when they are fighting the oarsmen that essentially all of her friends are gone. So like everyone that she knew, everyone that meant something to her over the last 10 years, because when they first join the abbess and they start, you know, divining, essentially they are like, all of their memories ahead of that are kind of wiped clean. and they're given their number instead of their name. And Sybil obviously sort of remembers hers. But the last 10 years, like, even in the short time that you get to experience the other girls in the beginning of the book, I loved them. I really did. I thought that they were funny, and it's so weird to think about how much depth Rachel could put into these characters that you barely knew, and then to find out that basically once their tenure is over, they are sent to the other omens to basically be sacrificed to them, because they are cut off from the spring, which is what gave them power to begin with. And the only way that they can get that is by drinking the blood of all of the diviners who have essentially been consuming the river. So you find that out, and then on the heels of that, Rory and her are having a moment in the forest. Like, she wakes up after fighting the oarsmen, and she's just, I mean, obviously fucking wrecked. And she takes off, and she's like walking through the forest and screaming, and it's so visceral. She's like having her period at the same time, like she's bleeding, she's walking through the forest, and she's not wearing shoes because she never fucking wants to wear shoes, and her feet are bloodied, and she happens upon Rory, and they're picking up like the armor that they had made for her. And it was so sweet. Like, once they get her away from the oarsmen, he puts a shroud back on her so no one can see her face. He still hasn't seen her face, and she decides in that moment to essentially, like, everything she's known is dead. Like, all the people that she knew, everything she believed, like knowing that all of the gods that they believed in are fake, knowing that the abbess doesn't really love her, and in that moment, like, she basically again in her life has lost all of everything she's ever known, and she chooses in that moment to tell him her real name. And I don't know why, but I thought that was so sweet. I'm really emotional. But it was just, she was like, I've lost everything, and he's been since this all happened, the only thing that kind of like brings her back to like who she is. And it's just, oh my god, I'm just so fucking emotional. I really hope I can finish this book tonight. I'm on page 268, so I have quite a bit left. I think the next update will probably be me and like my final thoughts on the book. It might be. So I don't know if anything else happens in this book. Like just in the journey that they're going on, and it's just so beautiful, and it's so well written, and I love and care about the characters so much. But yeah, I'm gonna try to read as much as I can, so I'll hopefully update you guys shortly. Like I said, it might be, I don't know if it'll be in the final bit of the book, but I'm gonna continue to cry and read my damn book. I literally just updated you guys. It was like, this book is gonna have nothing. I just need to take a moment. This fucking gargoyle. So it says, on the fourth day in bed, I became too overcome to cry, to eat. The gargoyle sat in my room and hummed to himself. Would you like me to tell you a story, the one with the tragic beginning and the desolate, interminable middle? And she responds, I have no use for stories. My eyes grew unfocused behind my shroud. Tragedy and desolation are right here with me. And he said, yes. He went back to humming to himself, but I am here too, Bartholomew. Like, oh my god, this book. I don't know whether to hug or punch Rachel. She's being knighted. Maud almost, I literally got like 20 pages. And within those 20 fucking pages, Maud almost died. And now she's being knighted. Let's start. Next, my business has never been with the omens. Next, it will be with the Heartstone Weaver, and after, with the Moth. When I face the abbess again, it will be in armor, not gossamer, with King Benedict Castor III at my side. I am sobbing. Alright, I am here to wrap up my reading experience for The Knight and the Moth. I finished this last night. It was one of those books where you stay up until you finish a book. I only have like 50 or so pages left, but y'all, I am so pleasantly overwhelmed with how much I loved this. I loved the characters. I thought the story was very interesting, very unique. I thought the writing style was not bogged down. I just thought it had that kind of air of mystery and fantasy and just those really enjoyable elements. Overall, I would give it a 4.25. There were a couple of things that I didn't love about it, but overall I think this is a fantastic read. Definitely up there with one of the best books I've read this year, but just not phenomenal, and for a couple of reasons. So there is a great betrayal at the end of the book, which in the capacity that it happens, I did not see coming. However, I did see some sort of betrayal by this specific character taking place. So that was a little bit kind of to be expected for me. Also, it ends on one of my least favorite tropes, which is essentially that guy loses the girl, she gets like taken away from him. So that's unfortunate, but still very, very good. The only other thing that kind of bugged me that took it down just a little bit, primarily like that 0.75 that I lost, was just the ending. It left on a good ending in the sense of I definitely want to read the second one. I'm gonna read it. I'm probably just gonna buy it whenever it comes out. But the other thing that was kind of jarring to me were the battle scenes with the other omens. I think that even the last one with the Moth, it makes me wonder where the story is going to go from here. I feel like it's going to kind of transform into this political, I don't want to give too much away from the ending. Like, I know this vlog has spoilers, but I don't want to ruin too much. But I think it's just going to be a lot of vying for power and religion versus state and things like that, which I am interested in. But the fights with the other omens was so quickly resolved, and it was so, I don't want to say abrupt, because I would still say that those chapters were poetic, and they were really well written, but I just think that anytime they would go into a fight with the omens, I was never really worried that they would succeed. You know what I mean? Like, there were definitely times in this novel when I cried, and you guys saw throughout the vlog, like, that really, really touched me. But I just feel like when they were going into these battles with the omens, I wasn't like, oh, this isn't gonna work out. Like, I just had this general sense of like, yeah, it's gonna work out. So I think this book is more about setting up the scene for what might take place in the rest of the books, but it was still so, so good, you guys. Bartholomew stands to be one of my favorite characters of all time. I love Sybil and Rory's romance. All of it was very, very good. Just a couple of minor things. So that's what I thought of this book. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this vlog and hanging out with me. I'm getting ready to pick next week's book for the week from my TBR shelf, so that video should be coming soon as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hang out with us in the future. But thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Nova, do you want to say goodbye? You say goodbye? You say see you later? What did you think of the book, girly? Did you like it? Huh? Did you like it? She said, Mother, there is not a thought in these eyes. You're so sweet. You want to help Mama pick her next book? Okay, say bye. Say bye.